All right. Welcome to Eight Questions with. It is Wednesday. It is the middle of the week, and it's the middle of the show week. Um, First of all, I just got to say thank you guys all for yesterday. Um, just a tremendous show yesterday. Um, oh my gosh, I already see people are waiting to come in. And oh my gosh, this is awesome. Wow, this is starting to really I can't thank you guys enough for this. This is like so inspiring to me to come up here and see people waiting and the likes. Thank you guys so much. Thank you so much for yesterday. We had a tremendous interview with Douglas Epps. Uh, Hi, Red. How are you? Awesome stream you had the other night. Holy cow! I cannot believe you lasted 5 hours. You are a machine. I'm bowing before you. Um, and of course I froze. So let me this always happens to me. So let me hi Tim, how are you? Let me step out and come back in because I froze. All right. I always seem to have that happen to me right when I come in. I always freeze right when I get in. Um yeah, but thank you for yesterday. Uh tremendous show yesterday. I don't know. You should edit it. You know what? Honestly, Red, I wouldn't edit anything. I would not edit. Maybe edit the interview he had with Angela. Maybe cut that out. But I would keep the whole thing intact. I thought it was amazing. I've kept all mine up. Um, the drives that I've done for people to get past their connection numbers, I've kept them up, and I think the longest I went was 4 hours, and I was dead ass tired. Let me tell you, I was talked out. Um, but no, I don't think you should edit anything other than the interview with Angela. I think that's the only thing I would try to maybe edit out. But everything else, I would just leave just as perfect. I thought it was awesome. Uh, no, yeah, I don't know if I could last that long. I have done two. I have done two where I have done. I I am so tickled to see people here early. I'm just blown away by this. Um, so our guest tonight is he is a sculptor mask maker, James Shaver from Carolina Kiwi Creations, and his work is just absolutely phenomenal. He hands makes masks, heads. I guess as another term they call it is hobby taxidermy, which I think is basically he creates taxidermies out of different like not real animals, not real animals. Not a taxidermist, but like he's made a triopsis, triopsis. Oh boy, I know how to say that word. Well, he makes dinosaur heads. He's make alien heads. He's make all sorts of creature heads. Um, just tremendous talent. This guest was brought to us by John Henderson from Doomsday Crypt. He's the one that recommended that I talk to James, and I'm so glad I did. Um, it is absolutely phenomenal. Uh, Yeah, why not? Uh, uh, John's gonna, James is going to join us a little early. Hi, yes, thank you so much, Mr. Dan. You know what? You know what? I don't know how you guys put up with me speaking. I absolutely hate myself when I speak by myself. When I'm like this, I absolutely suck. But when I get somebody up here, like I am right now, I do a lot better. And here is our special guest. Welcome, James.
Hi, thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Yep, we already have a small group here. We're supposed to go up at 8 o'clock. I generally go up about 15 minutes beforehand just to try to drum
Right.
some people up, and already had people here waiting for us. This
Cool.
is a,
Okay.
yeah, I know, isn't that awesome? So we're gonna
Well,
wait. We're gonna,
it's one of my first interviews, so forgive me if I'm a little nervous.
oh gosh, no, we specialize in that. Because
Mhm.
I believe me, I was just trying to I was trying to pronounce a I was trying to pronounce a word your tri op okay triopposite. Oh, Jesus Christ, what's wrong with me? What's wrong with my? Okay, where's Mr. Dan? Triopposites. Oh Jesus, Godzilla, kaiju, monsters.
Oh, okay. Okay. All right. Oh, you mean this guy? Let me pull
Uh,
him off the wall real quick. I'll get you this guy right here, right?
uh, hey Hobbs, greetings, greetings.
Godzilla?
Yes, yes. My God, look at
Yeah.
holy shit! Look at that. Oh my
Yeah,
God.
this is the one that I did a couple of years ago, and decided to do a redesign on the skin and stuff like that, and then molded. Probably I've got two ready to go now, but I've got these available. Pretty much anything on my Etsy store is ready and available to ship. Depends on what people want,
We
you
will
know.
be putting all your. We're gonna put everywhere where people can buy your amazing pieces in the description
Okay.
box. We are gonna believe me. That's yeah. Yeah. And of course, it's customary as a new interviewer. With the host, you can slide
Hmm.
him. You can slide him a Godzilla head. No, I'm not. No, I'm just joking. Oh my God, those are beautiful, James. That is amazing. You're
I
gonna have to
thank
break.
you.
You're gonna have to break that out again later. Uh,
Okay.
I know for sure. My friend Casey and Cody and Ben from Cadaver Club. I know they would be drooling seeing that
Okay.
Godzilla head.
That would be fun.
That's an amazing piece.
You
Uh,
don't mind if I smoke on air, do you?
no, no, no.
Okay. All right.
Nope, nope. Just be yourself. That's all
Kind of
we ask.
helped. It helped me relax. I do it when I do my lives on Facebook.
Nope,
So
nope,
kind of my trademark, I guess.
nope. Not a problem.
Okay.
We're gonna wait for a couple more minutes, and then we'll just get going. It generally start at 8 o'clock, and then
Okay.
then we'll just get this thing cracking. Um,
You guys will
and-
have to forgive me on my camera view. It's a little skewed, I think, but I've got it
no,
mounted.
no, you're fine.
So okay.
Uh, Now, since I'm relatively new to what you're doing, I mean, I've seen it before, but I'm new to it.
Right.
So I did try to come up with some worthy questions. I'm a
Okay.
total noob, so if some of the questions I ask are like noobish, please have mercy on me
No.
because I'm here for
Oh, don't worry about it.
I'm here for an education as well as interviewing you because I am fascinated.
Okay.
When John showed me your pieces, I was just like,
Yeah.
yeah, I'm totally. It's a beautiful work.
Well, I've got some stuff behind me to show if anybody's, if you have questions, comments, people want to see anything. I pretty much got everything ready to go, show and all that stuff. So,
Yes, I
There's
am
some
sure
stuff
that
on the other side of the shop too.
I am. Is that a pinhead I'm seeing down there? Is that pinhead?
Um, Actually, yes. There's two. That's one of the pieces I produce. This is the one that I'm currently working on. I've got two of them. These are latex masks. This is one that I produce. This is actually a wearable version or a bust. I generally sell it as a bust, but I've made it wearable and safety. This is just a cosplay. I've got a convention appearance to make next month in September. So I've got a cosplay outfit that I have to work on. So I've got it on my mannequin stand, and I have to do the exposed pieces here where he has, and I have to figure that out, and then I have to do that.
Wow.
Uh-oh. We may have a little problem. I just got a low battery notification on my earpiece here. Let me see if I can run in the house real quick, grab my headset,
Sure.
if
Take
that's
your time.
okay. All right.
Yep.
I'll
I'm
be
gonna
right
let you
back.
keep talking with the chat. Hey,
Okay,
John, how are
cool.
you, sir? Oh my gosh. I mean, look, we're already 10 minutes into the show, and I'm already fanboying out. I am fanboying out. Do you guys see do you see that work? Do you guys see that work? That is just freaking amazing. Um, just let people know that it is my birthday this month, and I do like Godzilla. Um, wow.
Okay, I'm entering back in. I'm going to stay on air as long as I can with this earpiece. If it
Okay,
happens to go out, I've got my headset here, so
sure.
just plug it in, continue.
Uh, yeah, totally agree with you, John. Uh, yeah, awesome work. I mean, holy shit.
Well, most of this, okay, I should explain some things. You guys are going to see I've painted everything. I don't always make or produce everything seen, just some things. But if anybody has any questions, I've got, plenty of answers. So the
Yeah,
majority of my time is done painting, though.
I totally agree, Red. I mean, it's just cool mask. That's Godzilla is just amazing.
I appreciate that. Thank you very
Yeah.
much.
Uh, yeah, we already started to get some questions here.
Okay,
Easy on that.
fire
Easy
away.
on this. Hobbs is already firing questions. Hold on, some questions first till I get some questions going here, so we can get this thing crack-a-lacking. So yeah, let's do this. Are you ready?
Yeah.
All right.
Been ready.
So obviously, the first question is,
Mm-hmm.
obviously tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, I do this as kind of a hobby. What I do in real life is professional. Is I'm a mold maker at McKinsey Taxidermy Supply. That's where I earn my bread and butter money. So I've got a background in taxidermy, as you can see with these two pieces here. That I had years ago, and then just kind of fell into this by accident, really. I was on Facebook and just kind of got in some groups and stuff like that and saw people doing stuff and just kind of asked questions and wondering how they did it. And then somebody got me started by selling me the masters of the stuff that they were no longer doing so I could learn how to mold and cast latex and then paint it. And it just kind of took off from there.
Now that must have been a lot of trial and error, right? Because you being new.
Absolutely. I
Wow.
was used to a little bit of molding and taxidermy, but it wasn't to a big extent. Um, More or less little tiny stuff, a little bit tiny sculpting, that type of thing. But then once I got more, it Just said low battery again. So let me know when you can't hear me anymore. Put
Okay.
up a finger or so or something,
Okay.
so I'll know that this thing's going off. It'll
Okay.
probably beep in my ear. But it was just, I just kind of scratched the surface. My wife, I got into working with clay a little bit a few years back, just because I used to draw, and I came across, I think somebody was throwing it out. We were helping somebody move, and they had this huge box of water-based clay, and they were going to throw it away, and it hadn't been used. I didn't know what to do with it, so I put it in my truck and said, okay, we'll take care of it. And next thing I knew, we had forgotten to throw it away, and it was like unopened. So I said, well, I'll take it home, and just started looking on YouTube and stuff like that, seeing people do different things, and thought, how can I do this? And just kind of played around with sculpting stuff. I think one of the early pieces that I did was I bought an old foam head form from a studio in Florida. They're no longer in business, or no longer doing anything. And it was of Arnold Schwarzenegger. And it was just a foam head, didn't have any ears or anything. And I put that in a base, and I thought, maybe I can make this work. Kind of put clay on it and just sculpted over it, and did Arnold Schwarzenegger on top of Arnold Schwarzenegger, kind of.
Okay.
And that, I think, was one of the early ones I did. So
Do you still have your first one? Do you still have the
I
first one
I
you
do.
created?
I made a mold of it. I can go get it in the back. I don't have the clay part, and the mold part of it was done in silicone, and the sleeve has a rip in the top of the head.
Mm.
So I have to either fix that or resculpt it, remold it, because now the mold is damaged. So I'm going to have to do something from the ground up with that. If I kind of got flack on that. People were thinking that I didn't do it and that type of thing, and I had to go through this whole rigmarole of showing them the head and all that stuff, and just it
What they
was a
didn't
bunch of hoopla.
they didn't believe that you made it?
Well, they were saying, "Oh, you didn't do that," and it was like, "Well, yeah, I did." But see, at that time, I wasn't doing live videos.
Right.
I was just posting pictures, and it's kind of a thing where a picture can say 1,000 words, but it only tells the smallest part of the story. So I have a YouTube channel, by the way, same name, Carolina Kiwi Creations. And I started doing live videos and just thought, you know what? People don't believe that I can do this. Maybe I should show them. So I started doing lives on Facebook, painting, sculpting, molding, the whole 9 yards. And that kind of how, and I just got into it to where, it got to be where customers would said, "Oh, I'd love to see you paint this up for me live on Facebook." So I'm like, okay, cool.
Oh,
When I
wow.
do it, I'll make an announcement, get out here in the shop, put it up, boom, do it.
That's cool.
So I
So
do
they're
it
actually
live so they
so
can.
you're actually working on their order. You're doing that live
Mhm.
on Facebook.
Yep, I do that so they can see, and then they can give me feedback whether they like the way it's turning out or not. Because I want 100% satisfaction across the board. No matter whether it's a friend of mine's pieces, like say this, some of these are personal collection pieces. I'll give
Right.
this as an example. A friend of mine named Jamie Routley sculpted this. He sent me the blank, which is just basically the way it is it comes like this, a blank piece of latex, like a canvas that you paint on. And it's up to me as an artist to turn that into this. So I have to paint and detail the teeth, put the eyes in, lay the hair up. It's not quite finished, but this is a personal piece that's going to go up on my wall in the shop when I can find room. And so, in addition to being able to do that, I can also help my friends promote their work
Is
because
that
I'll buy
wicked or
something
what?
they did.
I gotta
I'll
ask
buy
this.
something they did.
I gotta
Yeah,
ask.
this is Jamie Routley.
I gotta
Go
ask the
ahead.
chat there. I gotta ask the chat that isn't that wicked awesome? I mean, it that is so cool looking. And your friend Sal's here. Onofre, he's saying hello.
Sal?
Yeah, Sal's here, and John's here from Doomsday.
Okay. Yeah.
Yep. He says James is a warrior. He's got enormous respect from me. Hell yes, John.
Thank you. Appreciate
Enormous
that.
respect from me too. Holy crap. Um, let's see. Yep. Oh, I knew Charles would be here. I knew he would be here. I was like, you know
Who
what?
is
That's what
Charles?
Charles Cochran. He loves this stuff. He
Oh,
does
okay.
yeah, he loves these figures and whatnot. And
Okay.
Mr. Dan and Horace, that's amazing. So yeah,
Thank you.
feel free to share us out, everybody. Share out the stream. Let's get some heads in here. We're gonna we're getting to the questions with James here.
Okay.
So that's an amazing piece. I mean,
Thank you.
how much time does it take to do a piece like that, James?
Well, if it this actually came in several pieces. This came in, the teeth was separate, the head was one piece. So I mean, I had to like paint this and then paint the teeth separately, put the teeth in. I got the eyes from work. These are actual wolf eyes from where I work. So they make those. I didn't make these. I just bought them and put them in. And then the herring. Um, it depends on what it is. Usually I can do a mask, like a latex mask or something. A pinhead, I can have that ready in 2 days. If it's molded and it's ready to go and I've got it trimmed and everything, I can have this painted because I have to put nails in the head in each spot and prep it. But once it's finished and everything, usually 2 or 3 days. It doesn't take me long because I really don't mess around when it comes to customers and their orders.
Now
Um,
I have to sit there and say you're actually being very modest. If you think about it, you're saying it only takes 2 or 3 days, but
well, yeah.
on top of that, you're working a 9 to 5 job, and then you
Oh,
come back
nine to
and you,
five. Well, yeah.
yeah.
That doesn't leave me much time
No, I mean
nowadays.
it makes it more impressive that you're able to do that. To me,
Well, what I do is generally, if I have a mask order that comes in, like say tonight, we're here or something on Etsy, I don't have it ready. So what I would do is I would go next door, pull the mold out, pour the latex, let it sit for an hour, go eat dinner, come back out, pour it out, let it drain and set. I'll go to work. By the time I come back, it's dry and it's ready to go. This will be the next day. I pull it out, put it up on the stand, either start painting it that day or the following day. And then I can usually get, like I said, get one of these done in a day and then seal it, have it ready to go out next day. So that's probably about 3 days tops.
wow,
But it
wow,
depends. Some things I just don't have ready. And I don't really like, as a general rule, I don't really like to advertise anything I don't have ready.
right,
So most of the stuff I have has either one copy or two copies, and one's ready to go out the door. So if somebody buys it, I've got a ton of these boxes that I got free from the postal service. I just put one of these boxes together, put it in there, and then when I'm on my way to work, I just go by the post office, drop it off. Boom, it's done.
yeah. That was actually one of the questions I had. Is like, how do you keep up with demand? Especially during
Um,
convention season.
it depends. Like I said, I try to stay ahead of myself by having things done ahead of time. I can show you on this other side some of the things. Let me do this. We'll walk over here, and I'll try to get this done the best I can.
While you do that, I'll take a look and see what's going on in the chat. Let's see.
Okay.
Yep. Let's see. Oh, your wife's here. She says, shared. Thank you so much, Mrs. Shaver. Thank you so much. Sal says,
Okay.
He says he stayed up late several times watching him paint the Keesler wolf.
Yep.
Let's see. Yep. Sal's mentioning, saying hi to Doomsday. The representing. I love that. Thank you so much for showing up. Thank you for supporting James here in this interview. All right. So what do you got for us?
Well, you'd still hear me, right?
Pardon me? Oh, yeah. We still
You
hear you.
still hear me? Okay, good. Okay. I was just wondering because the thing's beeping in my ear again. These are some of the things that are done. When I get done with something, I'll bring it back here, like say Freddie or something like that. Some of these are things that I get from like eBay or something like that as blanks. And, somebody says, oh, I wish you'd do a Freddie for me. So I haven't sculpted one. So I'll find somebody that's selling one, paint it up, get it ready to go, put it back here on a stand, and they just kind of sit back here a little bit waiting for people to make a purchase, but then just pull it off of the stand, put it in a box, ready to go. I've got a little bit of clutter in here with different things. I'll show you guys this. This is something a lot of people are aware of. This is one of the latest sculptings that I'm doing here. There's a Velociraptor. It won't stay up on the stand, so I've got it set down here. But this is going to be a wall hanger, very much like the dinosaur in the other room here, which we'll go back over to in a minute. I've got like a variety of projects that I've got to finish. Another T-Rex. This is a 3D sculpt I designed a few years ago, printed out, never got around to molding. I've got some Predator stuff. But that Velociraptor that I'm working on will end up being a piece very similar to this one, which is a T-Rex. This is a foam form I got from work. There was a blank, and I painted it up and just hung it up on the shop.
Damn, look at that.
So,
Look how freaking cool that is. And that's I see Bruce is there too.
Oh yeah, this is mine only in possession. I didn't make this. I didn't paint this. A friend of mine, not too far from where I live, makes these, and they're quite expensive. I'm a very big Jaws fanatic. As a matter of fact, another friend made this, Richard Hammer. He made that. My friend Mike V. Schultz of Shark City, Ozarks makes these. I've got this. I've got this from another friend of mine, Corey Kaufman. He had one of these, his original Quint knife from the movie. It's a replica. Well, it's actually an actual real one, not a replica. But this is a French machete. Then I bought one of the Quint hats from the company that makes them. And I had that. That's also going to be my fishing hat. But I've got this, and then I've got this guy that I bought from somebody on eBay, and was doing to go over there with that. Now this is the Ben Gardner bust that I bought as a blank, and I painted this and put the eye in.
Oh,
I've
wow.
got those. Those are live on my backup account. I've got two accounts on Facebook. One is a backup because I tend to get in trouble and get banned or put in Facebook jail. So
you must be what gets you in trouble? Politics?
A little bit, not so much anymore, but somebody will say something or they'll show something, and I'll make a blunt comment, not cussing or anything, but I like one of the things I did was I quoted a line from Jaws. They had a situation with a carjacking, and I just commented, I'd love to see those carjacking bastards hang up by their Buster Browns.
Right.
That was all I said. Boom, Facebook. Oh, that's bullying. That's derogatory. We have to put you in Facebook jail for 30 days. I'm like, It's a quote from a movie.
Yeah, well,
Come on,
Facebook's run by fascists, James. So what do you expect, right?
Yeah. If it wasn't for the fact that I used it to show my work and promote it live and all that, I probably wouldn't be on there.
Yeah, I get it. So let's go. Now, when you do your creations, like when you actually, I mean, like you mentioned that some molds you make from
Right.
the ground. What compounds do you use to make the mold itself? I mean,
It depends. Here's a piece that I just did this past week, and this is a mold that a friend of mine at Pacific Mold Company made for me. I designed, and he sent it to me, and I did a test, just a test piece. It didn't come out quite well, but I use a mix of materials. This one being urethane rubber. You can see this face is not rigid. It's urethane rubber, and this back piece is resin. So it's basically a rubber face coming out of a wall.
okay.
And so that's just, I thought, this is interesting. I thought maybe I would mold up, you know, some of these and see if anybody liked it and just.
Where's that
Um,
picture come from?
where's this come from? It's a company called Pacific Mold Company.
No, I'm talking about
Um,
the face
Oh,
coming
it's
out. Is that
it's
from?
just it's out of the imagination. And what I
Oh,
what
that's
I
the
was
original
thinking
piece.
is something like if you can imagine like you're in Star Trek and you're being beamed up
Right.
somewhere and the beaming mechanism goes out or Scotty messes up and you materialize but you haven't materialized fully. It's like somebody materialized into a wall and this is as
Right.
far as it got. So
Right.
they can't see but they can scream and they're stuck. So it's like I
Wow.
call this piece entrapment,
That's
and it's not, it's just I just thought it might be something interesting, kind of like an abstract art piece.
so.
Um,
So is that your first? Is that like that? Is that the first piece you're gonna
that's a test piece. That's a test piece that I did by putting together the urethane rubber and the resin. With the Velociraptor, she's going to be foamed just like this dinosaur, but she's going to have a urethane rubber skin. So it'll be like a real skin texture feel on a wall hanger. So I kind of do that with different materials. I'll experiment and see what works, and then get ideas from that on. Oh, okay, I can make a Godzilla, and let's put real skin on him. So I might in the future uh, do a urethane rubber skinned Godzilla. You know,
no, you say
if that
like
works.
real skin from
Well,
like from
no,
like
this is a rubber. This is like silicone rubber.
okay.
So this is just as flexible and it feels like skin. It's
Oh
you can
my
see I'm
god.
squeezing it. See,
Yeah. You
and
know what
that's what
that
I'm
gives it?
saying. This
Ooh, is that creepy
and
though? I
think
mean,
about it. Think about it. You squeeze it and touch it, and it's like somebody's really living inside the wall.
oh my god, that
That's
is
that was the idea. That's why I thought, this would be cool just to make something with like a skin texture, just urethane rubber and paint it. And of course, I didn't seal this; it's not even fully painted, but just kind of get an idea. And
I
then I
think
thought, well, maybe somebody would like something weird and creepy like that. So,
I think there's plenty of people that would love a piece like that. That is a very cool original
thank
piece.
you.
Original. This what Alex has come inside the chat. Welcome, Alex. We're talking to mask maker sculptor James Shaver. So you're just in time. He's showing us some of his work. As you can see, it is absolutely beautiful and amazing. Um, Now you mentioned that you work at a taxidermy. You call this you call what you do hobby taxidermy? Or is that
Yeah, it was kind of hobby taxidermy because I did it as like I always wanted to be in, had a penchant for wanting to do taxidermy. Um, but and I never entered any competitions or any shows or anything like that. I never really got like into mainstream like a lot of my friends. I've got tons of taxidermy friends, people in the business that I know, and they do, life size bears and all that stuff. And They go all around the world for their work.
Yeah, I sort of like the idea that you do the horror and the sharks and
Mm,
right. I like that aspect of it. I mean,
right.
that I mean, so obviously you must be a big fan of horror then. Horror in
I
general.
I am. I am. I've been thinking with my work lately that I might be pulling away from horror exclusive and branching into different stuff. I've got a project that a friend of mine said when he saw the Bruce shark, he said, "Man, I would love to have a set of Jaws from that." And I thought,
Yes. Yeah.
guess what? I've got a great white shark suit. So I molded that. And then I'm thinking, I got to sculpt a set of Jaws, just as shark Jaws. And I thought, well, okay, there's something I can do. But the thing is, when I get an idea like that, I sketch it out, get the idea of how big I want to make it, what materials I'm going to use. Then I have to research with people like my buddy Robert Talone, who's on YouTube, and find out the best ways to approach it. Because even though I have a lot of molding experience, there are some things I look at and I think I'm never going to be able to do this because you look at it and there's just no way to approach it logically to make it happen. And then you get help from other people on like, oh yeah, you can do it this way. And I'm like, I never thought of that. So having friends in the industry and stuff also helps.
How many years have you been doing this, James?
This particular thing, probably, God, I think about 4 or 5 on the horror side of it. Um, it hadn't been that long. Taxidermy, I did probably off and on, God, the better part of maybe 20 years. So, and then sculpting and stuff like that in between a few years too. I did do, and I wish I had one to show you guys, but I don't know if you know the movie Friday the 13th Vengeance, a fan film. This is not my piece, but this is a representation of the movie. Um, there's another artist that did that particular one, and I just liked it so much I bought it. The hockey mask, have it on display. But I did do a version of that, and I'm going to be undertaking in the next month the my version of the part 2 Bloodlines is what the movie's called. The same gentleman that made this particular piece, which I don't want to show because the movie's still being made, and
Right.
I don't want to disclose what it looks like. Um, the gentleman that made that is an extraordinary artist, and I don't want to take anything away from him. But when I have a love for something like that, like Jason or Freddy or anything like that, it's like I have to see, well, I might do something a little different. There's
Right.
an instance where I have a master mold back here I acquired a few years ago of a part 8, and I bought that from a guy named Shallow Grave FX on eBay, and it was a master, like $300-400 for this thing, and it comes with the rights to reproduce it and sell it. So I bought that and I thought, I'd like to change this because that particular Jason never really looked good. He had the fried egg eye. I thought, you know what? Why don't I just remold this thing, sculpt in some new details on the existing piece, and make it something new?
Right.
And so I've started undertaking that and thought, this might be something that would be interesting, not to take away from the original or anybody that's done one, but I've always thought myself, how can you take something that's been done in the movies and make it look different and possibly better? So,
One question. Do you? Tim's asking. Horror DVD Devil. Tim is asking James, have you done any special projects for special effects for movies? Has any of your work been?
um, I've not done anything big. I just did there's an independent film being made in Atlanta, Georgia. It's a monster film, and it's one of the weirdest things I've ever sculpted, and it's one of the weirdest things I've ever made. Let me go get the piece, and I'll see if I can bring it out to show you.
Sure.
If I've got it in here somewhere. Uh, I don't think I can locate it at the moment. I thought it was right back there on hand. That's the problem. I've got so much stuff in here, I can't
Well,
figure out where some stuff is.
okay.
Anyway,
I just gotta say right now that we are just absolutely loving that shark with the hat on, with Quint's hat on his head. That is
oh,
absolutely
that's
awesome. I mean,
well.
that is
I'll tell you what. Mike
that is
B. Schultz of Shark City, Ozark, is the guy. If anybody wants to buy one of these things, he's a phenomenal artist. He's a good friend of mine. I've actually got another piece from him. I'm waiting for my boat to come out of the shop so I can do something with that for him. But I have to be able to get my boat back.
I'm just looking at Bruce sitting there with that hat on his head. I'm just thinking that's the damnedest cutest thing I think I've seen in the last month or so.
But I was just gonna say to finish answering that lady's question, there was a piece that I did for that film, and it was a cow udder, and that's the weirdest thing I've ever had to sculpt, and I did that in like 15 minutes, just a rough sketch. I've got goats out here. My wife has goats, so I had reference for that, but it was a cow udder that they're going to attach to the actor, and it's going to be in the film. So,
oh wow, that's cool. Well, that counts. That's you're in the movies. I mean,
yeah, well,
it all takes is just one piece, right? I mean, it's really,
yeah,
so you just never know. I mean, obviously, I think people are. I definitely think as we generate more and more, get back in the normalcy of thing, more and more films will
right.
be making, And you're based in North Carolina, right?
Yes, yes, I am.
So to me, I mean, you're really in a really good spot. I mean, because you're not that far away from
Well,
Georgia.
Wilmington, as a matter of fact, is where they film they filmed and are going to continue filming the Halloween movies. They got finished Halloween Kills, Halloween Ends is going to be filmed down there too. So, if I can get a line on that, I
Yeah,
might be able to go down there and see what I can do with that. Not
that would be very
do
cool.
anything for it, but maybe be a part of watching it being filmed or something.
Sure,
I mean,
sure.
I do get to meet and greet with a lot of celebrities and stuff like that locally because we have like two or three of them. And I don't go to promote my work or anything like that. I just go to hang out with my friends and I'll cosplay like Pinhead or something like that. And they keep asking me to bring some of my stuff in, set up a booth and show it off, but that costs money, and I'm like, I'm not sure if it's worth it because I only go for like one day.
Well, yeah,
So
you need to do that. You need to go down there because I was going to ask you about working conventions. I mean, because
right.
I know that your pieces are sold at conventions, and I'm thinking,
Well,
have
I
you?
do have this banner that another friend of mine, Brian made, and he's my go-to guy for anything that has to do with promotions like banners, cards, all that stuff. So he keeps pushing me to do it, and I'm thinking 2021 will probably be the start of me going in and setting up a booth, bringing some of these guys in and showing them off and
I'm glad.
seeing what happens.
I'm glad you said that because it is 2021 now, sir. So
I
it is
mean, I'm
time.
sorry, 2022. My
Uh,
bad.
I think we can get you in a couple.
Okay, you just went out on the piece. Hang on just a second. Just a second. Now I got to switch over to this. Let's see if I can.
have to back it. Let me back out.
Okay, I got it. Now it's just me.
Sorry about that. I got a spam call.
That's all right.
I got. Sorry about that. I got a spam call, so whenever a phone call comes in, it knocks my sound down. Yeah, so that's a good question. I mean, is it depending on the size or the originality of the piece? But I mean, does every piece take? It must have a various time factor, right? Like some pieces are quicker to make than others.
It
I mean,
does. It
right.
does. I will say this: all the prices are based varying on what time it takes me to make something. Pinhead right now, as we speak, is about the most expensive one that I do. And the only reason he is, and I'll say the price is $250, is because he comes with real nails like this. These are real nails that go into them. And then he comes with real fish hooks. There's 3 fish hooks that go in on them. And I have to make sure to specify these are the fish hooks. And I have to find out whether it's going to be a display piece or if it's going to be wearable. And then I have to accommodate people for whatever that is. Display, if no, it's okay. If it's wearable, which only one person has been able to wear one, that's a guy in Australia. I have to go in and do safety measures on the inside with silicone to make sure the nail tips don't hurt anybody when they put the mask on. So, you know.
I mean, okay. I'm going to ask another good. Hopefully, hopefully I'm asking decent questions here.
Okay.
So, what is your favorite compound to work with? What's easier for you to work with? I mean, you work in latex, you work with rubber, you work with resins.
Right.
Yeah.
I have to say, I think I like silicone and foam and resin a lot more than I like latex. Latex is fun. It was fun to get started with, but I don't know why I'm going to say this, but I think it's boring because it's something that I can do and get through and get finished in a relatively short period of time. It's the cheapest material, that's for sure. Um, what my goal is moving forward is to eventually maybe get into making silicone masks. Like I might convert this pinhead to a silicone piece.
Is silicone is that better than latex? I mean,
It's a more comfortable material. It's easier to be stretched on. It's easier to be worn. But
now
it's a lot more expensive.
which one actually lasts longer? I mean, which one would get damaged the least?
Probably silicone would last longer.
Yeah.
It's very durable. You can stretch latex, but latex after a while gets brittle. It ages. It can fade, that type of thing. But silicone, if you're not like pulling and stretching the hell out of it every day, it can last 10, 20 years easy.
How would someone take care of a mask like that? Let's say it's my first mask. I buy it from you. How does one
One of
take care of
these,
it?
actually, you see this Michael Myers here. This is on a head form. This is actually a friend of mine sculpting. And again, I bought a blank and painted it to like the Halloween Kills. Most of the time, people will buy a head form like this. Just a mannequin head, a foam head, anything like that. You can display it on. And when you're not wearing the mask, it's also good for displays where you can just simply stretch the mask over it pull it down on it. Let's do this real quick.
This is amazing stuff, isn't it, people?
And
It's amazing. I'm just totally. This is so captivating.
that just sits on your shelf or table or whatever, you
Wow.
know. So when I have a finished piece, if it's not in the back, this has to be haired. I've got two of these guys that I've got a hair, that being one, and then another one somewhere around here.
We got a
Maybe right
question.
here. Yeah.
We got actually a pretty good question too.
Okay.
What type of paints do you use to
Ah,
paint?
okay. I use an airbrush, which is right here. And I also use this particular line of, these are called Creatix colors. And these are acrylic colors. And they all come from a place. I buy mine from a place called Spray Gunner. And there's a friend of mine who designed and made this particular line of paints called Tim Gore. And I buy all of his. He does lifelines, bloodlines, and I buy one of each color that he does in a large bottle like this. Or sometimes, if it's going to be something I use a lot of, a bigger bottle. And that way I can always have. Here's a good. This is a good. I don't know if you see that. Creatix Tim Gore's Bloodlines. This
Now,
one's called
do you
Bloodline
have to
Green.
do you have to order that special, or do you go to? Can you get that like at a hobby shops?
Um, I order it from a website called spraygunner.com. I would think there are probably some local hobby shops that will carry them. I do have some other colors. They're all from Creatix. I used to use the Walmart Applevale brands, but they don't run through an airbrush that well. So
Right.
I upgraded to the Tim Gore bloodlines and those paints. And I've not looked back. I've got a ton of apple barrel paints on the shelf here that I just never use. Unless I'm hand painting something, I might go, okay, I need this color and put it in there. But, for the most part, I airbrush everything.
Now,
That's what.
what kind of personal safety equipment do you use when you work in your shop?
Ooh, good question. None actually.
Oh,
But no, I have a ventilator. I have a ventilator. When I'm airbrushing, I really don't use anything, but I've got a ventilator. I sometimes, if I remember, I'll use that for fiberglass work.
oh,
Uh,
definitely got that.
whoa,
You have to use that. You can't be
I
unmasked
use
around
it at
fiberglass.
work, so I have to use it at home too.
Right. Yeah.
When the pieces just
I'm
fell
sure
off
your
the
wife
wall.
is on. I'm sure your wife is on you about that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yep, absolutely. But then
Oh,
again, if I die, she gets the insurance money, so
that's something
not
she
so
doesn't.
much.
Yeah, not so much. She wouldn't want that. We wouldn't want that. Um,
No.
no. Now, some of the things, I mean, like I'm just coming up with these. Like I said, this is all new to me. I'm not
Okay.
sure. I mean, some of the collectors in the chat are probably familiar with more about your work than I am. So, like I said, I'm coming strictly from someone brand new eyes.
Okay.
And so it's fascinating to me. So some of the questions I'd be asking may be sort of noobish, but it's only because I just want to know.
Okay.
Um, uh, how dangerous is your business, James? I mean, I mean, like I said, if you're not really careful about the chemicals you use or whatnot, I
True.
mean, yeah,
Um,
how dangerous are they?
well, let's say it's not as dangerous as my previous job. I drove truck for like 15 years, so driving 80,000 pounds of moving metal, probably. The only danger I have here really is inhalation risk with fiberglass resin, that type of thing. And when like I did, I'll pop this boy up here. This is one of my other sculpts I did. This is just a foam form. This is a Cujo dog. I sculpted this in clay, and I had to fiberglass that with auto body resin and all that. So what I do is I open the windows in my shop. I have one of those big turbo fans on the floor. I turn that on, so whenever I'm fiberglassing it, it's blowing the vapors out the window, hopefully.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I do take some precautions, but
Yeah. Fiberglass needs to
probably
be.
not as many as I should.
Yeah, fiberglass. You don't want to breathe that shit. That shit will.
Right. Well,
That
I
shit
do
will.
that at work too. That's what I do mainly at work. Is fiberglass too. I make we do molding at work too. So I've got to wear a ventilator and then spray. And I come home itchy every day.
Oh, I bet. I bet. What is a catalyst, and how do you
Ah,
could you define us what a catalyst
yeah.
is?
Catalyst is when you're working with silicone. You have the base silicone, which is a liquid material, it's usually white, and you have to add catalyst to it. Same thing with fiberglass resin. And it's basically a hardener. It's just a chemical composition. It's exothermic heat reaction where when you stir this compound into the silicone or the resin and you brush it on, it causes it to heat up in the case of resin. In silicone, it just causes it to become hard and solidify. It turns a liquid into a solid. So
So it makes it easier to work with.
it does. It does. Depending on what you're doing. If you're molding, like you're making a box mold, which is basically you make a box and you have your objects in there and you pour the silicone in there, it'll solidify into a square around whatever it is you're molding. That's a box mold. Then you have your brush on molds, which I do 99% of the time. Everything I do is a brush up. So basically, I mix the silicone thick enough to where when I put it, like say I'm painting this, I put it on the surface and it stays there. It doesn't run, drip, or anything like that.
Is it
So,
is it is it I mean, because obviously you can't. I mean, how do you like? Do you have you have extra pieces that you work on just to to test run to make sure that your mixture is fine?
yeah,
Obviously you can't do it.
that's exactly what that little piece was that I showed you. This one. This was a test piece. I will run test piece on anything I do. That was actually the first one that I did combining a urethane rubber and urethane resin. General rule is if it's from the same school of chemical composition like urethane, it'll bond together. Um, but if you have things like silicone will not stick to latex. I do know a way around that, but as a general rule, silicone doesn't stick to anything but silicone or porous material. Like if you put it on your clothes, it'll get stuck to your clothes. You try to take it off, it'll rip holes and that type of thing. But um, generally the chemical basis of what you're working with has a reaction to different things.
So it's safe
So
to
you have to
say.
learn. You have to learn. What you're working with in order to be able to properly handle it.
I was just going to ask you how important is education? Uh,
Very,
yeah,
very. When
yeah.
I
I
got
mean,
into this, I knew nothing. And some of my friends can tell you I knew nothing and it showed. So, I had to like go and ask professional people. I had some friends that worked in Hollywood and, asked them and they said, "Oh yeah, we can show you, but you have to pay us." Okay,
mm,
well, all right, I'll pay you. And that's some of my tutoring. I didn't have to pay as much as some people. Tom Savini has a school in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. People pay something like $35,000 for 3 months of going up there to learn how to do this. I don't have that kind of money.
$35
So
thousand dollars.
$35,000, yes.
Jesus Christ.
And I'm like, well, I can't afford something like that. And it's grants. So a lot of people, get free money to go to school. And I'm not knocking that, but I learned everything that I know and what I do by YouTube mainly and
Right.
asking friends. That was it. And honest to God, I never thought that I still don't think I'm that good at it, but I never thought I would be this level. And I'm not anywhere near some of the friends that I have that are real masters. I'm good at what I do, but there's always people that are so much better.
Yeah, but you're relatively new though. I mean, 4 to 5 years.
Yeah,
You're still like
that's
that's
true.
still
That's
you're
true.
just still learning.
That's true. Yep, I am.
Yeah. Um, I can't believe Savini's asking that kind of money. I'm just wondering. Okay, you go up there for 3 months. You pay $35,000. I'm going like, well, how long would it take to recoup that money? I mean, you gotta.
Well, and the thing is it's not that it's not a good school, but it's like so many people will go there. I have friends that went there, and they think that okay, we get out of school like that, and you're going like college. You go to college, you spend hundreds of thousands of dollars to learn how to do something. You get out, and there's no job guarantee for you.
Right.
So you have. I went to college to learn how to be a veterinary technician. I got out of school, graduated with all the knowledge, couldn't find a job.
Wow.
And so, it's like I know how to fix animals. I work on my own, but I can't get paid to do it professionally. So at least I can get paid to do this professionally,
Sure.
where I work. So
Um, what's the difference between latex and resin?
latex is a soft, pliable material. This is latex. This is a rubber.
Okay.
So you can manipulate it, you can squeeze it, you can stretch it, you can do all kinds of things with it like that. With resin is a hard, durable. This is resin. There's another piece by my friend Jamie Rotley that I'm doing painting up. That's hard. This is hollow, but it's solid. It's just like uh, I don't know. It's like kind of like saying a cake in a pan. The cake part is soft and durable. You can do.
Is the resin heavy? I mean, is that like a heavy piece or
No, it depends. It depends. This is not a heavy piece. This is a lightweight piece. I can throw this around. How do you do the resin? This is hollow too. Got a
oh
hole
wow.
in his butt. There's hollow. There's hollow inside. That was weird. Me
Wow.
sticking my finger up a baby bear's butt on live on YouTube. That's weird. That is weird. Okay. There was no enjoyment in my behalf on doing that. I promise you.
Yogi, yikes.
Yeah.
Uh, so late. I mean, so but overall, your favorite, your favorite is definitely silicon, though. I mean, among that, I mean,
I do. My general goal is that's the only field that I've not become comfortable in, and as far as making. Let me show you this. A friend of mine, Tony Campanetta, does these. This is a little baby's head, and you see, this is all silicone.
oh wow, look at that.
Okay, it's a
Yeah,
decapitated baby's head. He sent me this as a gift. I know the guy's got a 6 sense humor. I've got another piece up here he did, but I'm not going to put it live on air because it's a little graphic.
sure.
And the fact there's different body part that most people would not appreciate me fondling. Um, but this is just like show you the in depth. This is silicone, and this is what a lot of people make professional parts with. Um, Here's another one. This is a friend of mine, Corey Kaufman, made this, and this is silicone too. This is the decapitated arm from Friday the 13th Part 6, Jason Lives. And he made this in silicone and painted it and did all that. And this is what the material that people make in the movie industry. They do that with these, with silicone. Latex is very rarely used in much other than like maybe mask or something like that. And then on the professional side of it, not very much other than, Halloween or something like that. Most of it's silicone. Some of the older pieces from the 80s, like the Friday the 13th movie, Freddy Krueger, all of that was latex rubber.
Now,
But now I think,
yeah, what I hear, we got a question in the chat, which is actually another great one. Thanks,
okay,
Michelle. How often do you have to replace your molds?
it depends. With the latex ones, I have some molds that I am still using. I've got a piece here that one of the first pieces I started out with. And a friend of mine that got me started in this gave me his Jason Goes to Hell sculpting. And I'm still producing these masks out of that mold. Um, and I'm at a point now where I'm going to have to replace it. But
Okay.
for the past 4 or 5 years, I learned how to also take care of molds to keep them durable. And it involves how you make the latex. So you buy the latex, you put it in the mold. You can brush it in, you can pour it in. How long you let it sit and set, because in UltraCal, which is the material that we use to make latex molds with, the stone part of that, it's like concrete, absorbs all the ammonia and liquid in the latex and makes it solid. So that ammonia and stuff gets absorbed in the stone. It causes it to break down sometimes. So you'll lose details and stuff like that. But if you treat your molds after you make a pull, you can treat them. And I do that. And it helps it last longer.
Okay. Um, you
With
also
other
work with
molds, like, oh, go ahead.
clay.
Yeah.
So what are the pros and cons of working with clay? I mean,
Oh, that's a
what do
good
you,
one. You have two basic forms of clay. You have a water-based clay, which is the standard sculpting clay that a lot of people use. I have made, like Cujo was done in water-based clay. The Velociraptor back there is oil-based, and oil-based is the other clay. With water-based clay, it's what generally people use to sculpt stuff, but the bad part of that is it will dry out and it can crack. So if I'm working on a big piece and I know I'm not going to be able to get it done in a relatively short period of time, I'll have to put bags on it, like a garbage bag, tie it off on the back so all the moisture will stay in the clay and it won't crack or dry out. Oil based, I can leave that Velociraptor back there untouched for years and it won't change. It'll stay the same because oil clay doesn't change unless you apply heat to it directly and it will melt. So
oh,
I tend to work more now in oil based clay because if I get interrupted, distracted, or just fed up or frustrated, I can leave my work, walk away from it, and come back and not worry about it not being, destroyed or bad or whatever, when I get back.
uh,
You still there?
yeah, there you go. Yeah, you were cutting
Okay.
out there a second.
Okay.
I just,
What
yeah.
did they miss?
Uh, no, no, no. Go ahead if you could. But the oil base, oh, it cracks down.
Right. Oil based clay does not break down. unless you apply heat to it, and it will melt.
Okay.
And that's the only time you have to have there again. You have to have an exothermic reaction, heat applied to get hot, and it will melt, and that will cause it to distort and stuff like that. So um, I
Now,
can work in it relatively easy enough.
now, your pieces that you create. I mean, when you send them off, I mean, do you? I mean, do people have to? They should have them as a climate control, right? I mean, they shouldn't just have them just laying around their house.
Um,
They
it,
should have them stored or displayed in climate control cases.
yeah, most of the pieces I do are display pieces. So a lot of people will like. Well, I do the Friday the 13th body part. Let me see if I can show you guys up here. I'm gonna turn this real quick. Grab one of these. This is a costume that I was working on for myself. Basically, it's part Friday the 13th, part 7. This is the knees. Now, this piece has been done and sitting around for the better part of 2, 3 years. When I seal them and treat them, you can store them if it's been out in the open. The paint's not cracking, it's not faded. You can pull, it won't crack. It's stretchable. It depends really on the person making whatever it is they're making, and they will. Here's another one. This is the two-part front and back. The back of it, the front of it. It's all the same as when I painted it a couple of years ago, and it's not changed because I treat it and seal it with a substance, and it keeps it good to lay around if that's what they want to do. But not every artist who does things like this will treat their pieces the same way. And I try to keep that in mind with whoever's ordering whatever they're ordering. Is it going to be display or is it going to be wearable? And for whichever way that goes, I have to treat it accordingly. So if they're going to wear it, it's got to be stretchable without ripping, tearing, the paint cracking, that type of thing. So, but generally as a display, it depends on the person. Some people like to have them in little cases and stuff like that. But what I make, you can have in the house on the wall. If it gathers dust, just brush it off. That's it. That's not
Um,
that bad.
I got a question for you from Sal.
Okay.
He wanted me to ask you how old were you or how young you were when you got into his craft. I mean, might as well go back to the taxidermy.
Oh, wow.
How young
Okay.
were you when you got into taxidermy? And then when did
Oh,
you realize that you had a talent and knack for creating these pieces? When did you know
well,
that you wanted to do this?
when did I know when I wanted to do what I'm doing now? I kind of was watching and following some groups on Facebook probably about 6, 7 years ago, and just saw some amazing art that people have painted and done. And they were just like, it just amazed me. I thought, I was just so enamored by how well they did it. And I thought, I would like to try that. And, I'd had a airbrushing experience from taxidermy. The taxidermy part, before I get off on a tangent on that, I think at a young age when I was hunting with my granddad, probably about 11, 12 years old, he actually, I shot a squirrel. He had me skin it and prep it, the skin, and showed me how to do that. And then wanted me to teach me how to mount it. And he taught me how to mount it. And it was a very shitty squirrel, I can assure you. Terrible. But that kind of got me into thinking, ooh, this is fun. I didn't think I'm playing with a dead animal, that type of thing, but You kind of think, okay, I went to school to learn how to save animals, and now play with dead bodies and stuff like that. So it's kind of a weird thing, but
Yeah, it is a little
you
bit of an
know,
oxymoron, right?
yeah, yeah, exactly. My professor in college actually told me I must have a Frankenstein complex because here I was, a taxidermist that wanted to learn how to save animals. So was I going to shoot them and mount them, or was I going to try to bring them out to life? So, you know,
Well, I guess, in a sense, I mean, I guess I don't know how. I mean, I know a lot of how people, people feel differently, but you
right.
know, that's a really, it is perplexing.
Yeah.
That is a perplexing. You want to save them, and then during the day, people are wanting them as trophies. Um,
Well,
do you ever get angry? Um, do you ever get angry when you're at your job? I mean, you ever get like when someone brings in like to be like a rare animal, like a
no,
wolf. I mean,
I don't. There are laws on the books in different states. Like in North Carolina, it is illegal to accept any bear from out of state. So if somebody shot a bear in Alaska and they didn't live in North Carolina, but they wanted me to mount it, no, can't do that. Not without the proper tags and all that stuff. And it's just kind of a thing where the law is the government is so big on that. If I was a successful taxidermist, I'd probably have a fish and game warden out here on a monthly basis checking my freezer to see what I had and make sure that nothing was illegal. They do that all the time.
okay.
Um, I have a freezer right behind us with a bunch of dead animals and skins and stuff in it that, you know, they've been in there for years. And someday I may just find the time or the passion to get back into that as much as I do this. So,
Um,
we'll see.
yeah, I asked you earlier about the education part of this. I mean, if and Michelle had mentioned earlier about like if someone got in brand new into this business,
Mhm.
like what would you tell them? What's the most important thing they should
Mm,
learn? Would it
I
be
get that a lot.
would it
The
be chem
very
would it be
first thing,
chemistry?
yeah, you could do chemistry, but for people that want to learn how to be an artist, are you talking about the sculpting and the mask, or are you talking about taxidermy?
No, I'm talking about the mask. I mean,
The
like
mask. Okay.
yeah. I mean, if you got into that, I mean, you would, because I was watching some of your videos and I was really impressed with the fact that you were very exacting on how much materials you were using in
Oh yeah,
different mixes.
yeah,
I
yeah.
mean, you were spot on.
And I will tell people, you have to kind of base guess things sometimes, and it's better to under guess something. Like when I'm foam filling something like this one, and you have to foam fill a mask and make it a display. Um, it's better to do a little at a time. And I always have graduated measuring cups, which I do not have around here to show you, but they're the ones with the little numbers on the side. And here's an example. I have these small medical cups, and they've got, different measurements on there, like teaspoons, and you have to know basic math. You
Right,
also have to know, you have to follow the guidelines for your materials. Like right here, I have a two-part foam, and it'll be part A, part B, and it'll say, for example, this is Flex Foam 3. This is one part A, which is the other bottle, to two parts B of this one. So you figure you've got to do basic math and go, okay, if I need um, 10 grams of A, I'm going to need 20 grams of B. And you mix that up. Because if you don't mix your materials right, they will fail on you.
right,
So you have
right.
to learn basic math as a general rule before you start this.
So
Not the
it's
Common Core shit either. The
it
Common
what?
Core, you have to like go, okay, let me measure A and B, drive around the block, grab dinner, come back, and then mix it up and put it in there. You know, it's ridiculous.
Wow. This is yeah, this is something else. Like I said, I watched the videos, and that's just what like that's what really caught me by some, like he's been doing this. You've been doing this for 5 years,
Yeah.
and yet every single time you were measuring out everything that you were doing.
Oh
You
yeah.
weren't doing it. You weren't doing it by, okay, I've already done this hundreds of times, so I don't
Right.
need.
Right.
But you were
Because
actually saying every time how much, what you were doing, how much you were
yep.
using, and I
And the
thought that
reason
was
I
really. I thought
go
that
ahead,
not only was that impressive, but I also thought it was rather responsible because you're not taking anything for granted of what you're doing.
absolutely, absolutely.
So, um,
And another part of that is when I do my lives, I get a lot of people that ask me a ton of questions like, how do I do this? How do I do that? So I say, look, I'm a little busy at the moment. Go check out this live video. I will explain A, B, and C, and same thing for YouTube. When I post some videos up there on how to do something, I try
right,
to go step by step to teach people so they can learn for themselves and go, okay, let me try that. And then, and if they have a mistake or they mismeasure or something, then they can come back and go, okay, what did I do wrong?
right,
You
right.
know,
And that
which is, I think it's beneficial for every artist to help every other artist, especially ones that are coming up, because I'm not going to be doing this forever. I don't know what the lifespan of this is, but there's people that are coming up behind me that want to learn how to do it. And I'm not
right.
trying to hoard any secrets or say, oh, I can't tell you that.
Oh, you're being very generous and being
Yeah,
very
I'm
open with us.
trying to. Yeah,
Yeah, I appreciate it. Like I said, this is in someone else. Several people have mentioned it. This is an education for us. We never
okay,
get a chance to see this. We see masks on movies and
right,
TV and whatnot,
right,
or at a convention or whatever. But we don't know we don't know. What's that say? We don't know who the
right,
wizard behind the behind the curtain is.
right.
So
Well, it's not very difficult to do. All it does is, I will tell you, it takes A, time, B, patience, and C, somewhat a lot of money. I was blessed that in 15 years of driving truck for a living, uh, my wife was one that would squirrel away a lot of money. So I was able to go out and buy, and we have all our house and everything is bought and paid for. So I had money saved away, and I thought, I want to get into this. I need materials, and they're expensive. So before I even got into messing with them, I learned about what I need to do. And now we buy small amounts, like trial sizes from Amazon. Play around with those first, and then once I got comfortable with that and go, okay, I feel comfortable, I know what I'm doing. I go to a major supplier, like one down in Charlotte, I can drive down to and buy any material that I need, or at work, buy whatever I need, like foam and stuff, and use it. And the thing is when you're wanting to get into it, it's great to have dreams and hopes, but remember you're going to fail, and hopefully those failures don't cost you an arm or a leg.
right.
So that's one thing that I want to let people know. I'm all about trying to help somebody, but
It's not
you
it's not
know,
a it's not an inexpensive
there's
job that you do.
no,
You're right. It,
I could show you the messy paint station I have here with all these paints right here.
yeah.
There's probably well over $1,000 worth of paints and stuff in here. So it's materials, paint, all kinds of stuff. I mean, it's well over $1,000 right there. So,
Now, what kind of insurance does the state require you to have some sort of
No,
insurance or
no, this
license?
is a hobby. This is a hobby. So what I do is that's how you kind of get around things like that. I don't have to pay taxes on what I do because it is a hobby. I do it for fun. If somebody, one of my friends says, "Ooh, would you make me a pinhead?" Sure, I'm doing it as a friend. What
Okay.
I do is I charge them what it will cost me for time and materials, and that's just the base rate. And it's very inexpensive because you can only charge so much before you have to say, okay, now I'm getting into where I have to start paying taxes. So that's another reason that a lot of the stuff I do is inexpensive
Uh,
because I find the ways around to the government too.
okay. So now you got me curious though, but because I'm going to ask this, even though I probably shouldn't, but I am. But
Hmm.
how much do you charge for that Godzilla head?
The Godzilla head. I would have to say go to my Etsy store. I don't have it written down, but all the prices for my stuff is up on Etsy.
Okay.
And I have two of those ready to go. I have one right here, and then the other one is
I'm sure once
over
we
there.
show I'm sure once we
Right.
show this the Cadaver Club, you'll only have one left. He'll probably want
Well,
one.
yeah, one or none. Yeah.
Ben, see, I was like, oh, and you do custom work, right? I mean, someone asks you to do
I
a custom job. Would you
Yeah.
do
If
it?
somebody says, "Would you do me a Freddy?" or "Would you do me
A
this,
guy
that, and
can.
the other?" I will probably. What I will probably do first is I would reach out to one of my friends and say, "Hey, what have you got in line of this, that, and the other?" And they say, "Oh, I've got this, that, and the other, blank or something like that." Okay, yeah. And then I'll reach back to the customer and say, "I know so and so who has one. Would you like for me to buy one of theirs and paint it for you?" And then they'll say yes or no. Or if they want me to sculpt it, it really depends on the time that I have. Like I said, I don't really do commission work on a regular basis like a lot of other artist friends do, because I just don't have the time to do special requests. But I will take into consideration things like I'll pay attention when somebody's watching a fan film like Vengeance or something. Like, oh, I can't wait for the second one to come out. And I go, I've got to get on that. I've got to sculpt one of those just because if they don't, perchance, like the version that this gentleman's made and they want something different, then they have an option. So it's not to take away from the gentleman that did it. It's just to say, if you don't like that, there's another version. They may not like mine. As a matter of fact, in the first one, we were in competition with each other indirectly. I did not know he was doing one. He did not know I was doing one, and we were doing it at the same time. And people would like his and not like mine, and people like mine and not like his. Um, it would go either way. So, there's competition could be a healthy thing, but it's always indirect with me. I don't make it a point to try to direct it. That's like the Myers. I'm not in the habit of making these. I don't produce them. I just paint them, hair them, and it's just kind of something that I'll do to see if I can do it.
Right.
And if somebody likes it and they want me to do it, I'll reach out to my friends, say, hey, give me another one. Boom, I'll do it. You know.
Um, Go ahead and ask, Hobbs.
This
Yeah,
is
guys,
what
go ahead. If you guys have some questions, start tossing your questions into the chat. Um,
this is probably the only custom piece that I've done lately. This is a Kong. This is a wall hanger. A friend of mine said, "Oh, I'd love to have one of those." So I made one with the intention of making one. He's got it up on his wall. He bought one of my Godzillas, and he needed a Kong to go with it. So I sculpted
right.
this and made it, and it's basically a urethane rubber wall hanger. I've got two available, but I wanted to put hair on them to cover up these cracks and stuff in there. But that's about the only thing I've done, like custom semi-commission uh, for somebody else that I still can make for everybody. I won't do one thing for somebody and not make it available to everybody.
Okay. Uh, let's see. Okay. So Hobbs is asking you a question here. He
Okay.
says he has a friend who is obsessed with Fraggle Rock, and she loves the Doozlers. Are you able to make the Doozlers or a small mold of them? They were puppets.
The
I
Fraggle
think.
Rocks. I know those are the ones with little spiky hair. Um, I would have to, what I'd have to do is I would have to probably find a bunch of pictures, and it depends on how big you want it, and what you want it made out of. I could do uh, sculpting, make a resin figure, probably make a urethane rubber skinned one, or I could make a styrofoam foam one like a puppet, you know. But I've never done anything like that. I'll be honest with you. I've never made a puppet. I'd have to study up on the practicalities of how to do that. But, you know, it wouldn't be impossible. I would just say, you know, it would require me to go learn some things about what it takes to do that because there's different materials involved.
Speaking of the Pacific creations like Kong or Godzilla. Now,
Mhm.
now, if you sell those, do you have to pay like licensees fees? I mean, are you
No,
required to do that? No.
no. If you now, I've run across this in Etsy when I had Godzilla listed. I promoted it under when I did it about 2 3 years ago. I just promoted it as Godzilla King of the Monsters. And then when Godzilla versus Kong came out, I brought it back out, redesigned it, and made it, and then said the king has returned, or what is a god versus a king, and said Godzilla versus Kong. I got a notice from the studio that said that I was not allowed to use the movie title. So, for instance, the T Rex that I've got in front there that I did that, that is a Jurassic Park design. Um, I did that digitally with a little help from photos, and then 3D printed it, and I've got to mold it. I cannot legally call that Jurassic Park or T Rex, JPT Rex. I can't use any of the Jurassic Park logo, licensing, or wording.
Right.
So I have to create a name like for Velociraptor. It's going to be called Clever Girl. You know,
Yeah,
it's a
but
phrase from the movie that
a Velociraptor. That's actual name of
Velociraptor.
an animal.
Yes, yes.
So
So is the
they don't.
Tyrannosaurus Rex, but I would
Right.
call the T Rex. I call her Big Girl.
Wow.
Um, you know, and I wanted to make it about as big as the one up here on the wall, but that's already been done. And not everybody has a wall space that big for something like that. So I thought scale it down to about the size of the Godzilla. You know, it'll be something somebody can hang on the wall in a corner if they have small space, and it looks good. You know, so you know that I did 3D printing about 3 or 4 years ago for a small amount of time. I just wasn't very good at it. I mean, I did some designs. I printed a few things, and then it was like you get these bird nests of filaments and all kinds of mistakes, and you know you're sitting there with a print running for like 70 hours, and then you get a third of the way through it, and it just messes up, and you got to start all over again. I had to do that more often than not, so I just got out of it and just sold my printers and said, "The hell with it! I'm done. I'm not doing this."
You just going old school.
Yeah, I'd rather do it old school. That T Rex in there is one of the three, I think. 3 successful prints. I did make a Judge Dredd helmet, which I have over here that I wanted to mold and make in fiberglass because I have a sculpture that I did. Ah, here's something I did a few years ago, which I'm going to revisit. Let me bring him up. This one I did on the 4th of July, probably a few years ago. So Sylvester Stallone head. I cast this in Ultracal to save it. And this is just a head. And what I thought to do at some point was try to do it in clay and do different designs with it for different characters in movies, Rambo, that type of thing, and make bust sculptures. So, that's where I kind of wanted to move in from out of horror into some other stuff. And
Um,
that helmet will go with one of those.
I have a couple more questions for you, sir.
Mm-hmm.
What are your what are three what three artists out there besides yourself? I mean, what three artists do you like the best? I mean, whose work do you admire the most?
Tom Savini is one.
Too bad he's such a
There,
pompous asshole, though.
yeah, he's a popular, but you know what? He's also a little bit of an a-hole in real life.
Yeah,
I
he
mean,
really.
yeah, he can be a nice guy, but he can also be a major a-hole.
Yeah.
Um, I've run into him every year, probably twice a year at the convention, and I've outside of presenting the Jason Goes to Hell to Kane a couple of years ago. I don't think he ever said nice words to me about anything, but he looked at that and thought that was pretty cool. The other artists, I've got friends that I admire. My friend Topher Westcott. We butt heads every once in a while. He can be found on YouTube, not YouTube, Facebook. He does a lot of Jason stuff. He sculpted, as a matter of fact, he's the one that did this, the pinhead, and I got that from him. But he is one that is a good artist that does stuff. I don't know how well recognized he is. There's a ton of people out there. The Shiflet brothers, I don't know if anybody knows who they are. There's a group on Facebook called Shiflet Sculpting Forum, and it's where a lot of artists go to learn and watch and see people sculpt. Those are two brothers that do really amazing work. One of the other artists, Jordy Shell, is another one. He does a lot of Ed Edmonds is another one. He does. They both work for a company called Distortions Unlimited in Colorado. They do a lot of horror stuff. I can't really name like specific ones that I like because there's so many out there.
Yeah.
I pretty much can admire anything anybody's done, especially if it's like, wow. It depends. I won't even say it depends on their level of expertise either. Because I have friends that have been doing it for a couple of years and they knock out some really amazing stuff.
Your
But
friend Frankie is here. Frankie
yeah,
Clayton. He says
yeah.
hello.
Hi, Frankie.
Yeah. So it sounds like is it a competitive field? Because you mentioned that you bumped heads with your friend. Is it a competitive field? What
Yes.
you guys do? Oh, yeah.
Yes,
Okay.
it is. It is. It's a competitive field where let me just say this. I had a situation where I bought, I was in the process of buying masters from people because I was learning how to do stuff and I wasn't sculpting my own at the time. And I thought, oh, okay, I could go and buy this and that and the other from eBay. Somebody sold me one that said it was a master and came with rights to produce and all that. And I took them at the word and I paid the money for it and everything. And then I thought, I like to try to do this in resin. So I did. I turned around, I did that piece in resin. I did a complete tutorial on it. Come to find out that somebody else owned the rights to it. And they reached out to me and said, that's not yours to do. Even though it was a personal piece, I felt bad because I didn't mean to intentionally deceive or step on anybody's toes about anything. And I ended up destroying everything. The mold that I
Oh,
made, the piece I made, and the mask that I bought, I shredded and live on video. And what people will say is, oh, that's recasting. Basically, when you take something that you don't legally own the rights to produce and you make a copy of it and sell it. And there are people, uh, I will say, in the United Kingdom, that is very prominent. And it's a big no no in the hobby, the industry, the whole kit and caboodle. And for a long time, that one mistake did hang over my head, and I've never denied it. It was never intentional, but you get people in groups that will go, "Oh, so and so is a recaster. He did this, he did that, blah 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 blah," and word starts spreading, and people start believing it, but they never go to the person who made the mistake and say what happened.
yeah.
You know.
And
So
that's a, it sounds to me it's an honest mistake. I mean, I'm
yeah,
surprised it doesn't happen
and
more often.
I always and I reach back. Believe it or not, when I got that piece, I was so intent because the person couldn't tell me A, who made it, B, where he got it from. Same thing with this. Now, even though I'm not producing Ben Gardner here, when I got that from eBay, I bought it. I reached back to Greg Nicotero, who, by the way, owns the number one, the shark. He owns number one. I have number two. That is the number two of those made. He has the first one. So I have a common tie with him. But anyway, getting back to this, he was the only one allowed to make that, reproduce it, sell it, whatever. He made 3 copies, I think, for museum display purposes. So when that came available and I bought it, I thought I better check with him to make sure it's okay for me to have. And I don't know why I didn't do that before I bought it because I thought, ooh, that's cool. And he never got back to me on what it was, where it came from, or anything. So I don't have intent of molding or reproducing that. That's a personal piece for me.
Sure.
I've actually had someone who does have the original mold, besides Greg, that's 30 years old, reached out to me and said, where did you get it? And I told him, and we talked at length about everything. And he was cool with it. You know, I said, it's just a personal piece. I'm not going to do anything beyond painting it, putting it up on the wall beside Bruce. That's it.
Yeah,
So, you know, you have to be careful with some of these things.
yeah, I would think so because
Yeah,
I mean, short of do people like get molds and then they make a it's like a college textbook. Every
yeah,
year it comes out as the same damn textbook, but they put a new opening or change a paragraph and they come it out and they
yeah,
sell it as brand new.
yeah.
Do that happen too, or someone will get let's say they get a
Um, yeah, but the thing is with that, with the thing about getting started, a lot of people go, oh, okay, I'll buy a master from so and so.
and then
Um,
tweak it.
yeah, if you legitimately buy one, now I see this in the Myers community where everybody and the mother has the same Michael Myers mask, the same Michael Myers mold, and they're producing the same mask 365 different ways. But nobody can tell you where that mask came from, who made it, who designed it, and all that. With all my masters, I can tell you who I bought them from, who the original artist was, and have you contact that original artist and find out that if yes, it is okay for me to have that.
How important is that for a collector? You know, let's say I'm a collector, right? I want to get, you know, I want to buy that Ben Gardner. How important is it
Okay.
to a collector to check on that? You know, like that way they don't get
Um,
taken.
it would depend because if you have a piece that it would be more on the artist who sold it to you than it would be the collector.
Right.
Nobody can take a piece that you bought legally from somebody else and take it away from you, unless it's stolen. If say Greg Nicotero made that and I bought that third hand from somebody who stole the mold from Greg, and then I got it, and the guy goes, "Yeah, you can make copies." And I was selling, Greg could come after me and sue me for doing that. Not only that, but the movie studio could do that as well if the mold itself was under licensing strictly from the studio. For example, Trick or Treat Studios. Everybody pretty much knows who they are. They make almost all the Myers masks. Outside, these are independent artist masks, by the way. These are not Trick or Treat Studios. Trick or Treat Studios holds the studio licensing from Hollywood to reproduce Myers masks from the original movie molds. Anybody else doing that can be sued by them and the studio. Yeah. So it's
Uh,
tricky.
we got another. Some of the folks are just coming in, so they might ask the
Mm-hmm.
same. They might ask some
Okay.
of the same questions. But
All right.
which mask is easily? I mean, which mask is the most comfortable as far as wearability goes? The silicone one.
Um, it depends. You probably have to look on my website on the Etsy store and find out because a lot of them are wearable, but I do a lot of them for display because there's collectors just like to have them in their house just sitting on a shelf. Pretty much any of them.
Um,
There are some. It depends on basically how I mold them. Like the Chatterer is a companion piece to the Pinhead that I make. It's small, so if somebody wants one that's wearable, I can do a thinner latex version to try to get it to accommodate going over their head. But as a general rule, the Chatterer is a display piece.
okay.
But it really depends on how thick or thin the latex is cast. It also depends on the head size of the mask. I
Now,
think 26 inches is the general rule for head size.
you said earlier the silicone is the more comfortable of the to wear, though, right?
Right. Yeah, it is. I don't
Um,
currently have anything in silicone though.
how did you? I only got a couple more questions. I know
Okay.
it's Can we keep you for like another 10 minutes?
Yeah. Yeah. I'm good.
Okay. Um, Thank you so much for your time, James. I really
Oh, no
appreciate it.
problem.
Love the chat. Feel free to
I'm
ask
not
some
doing anything
questions.
else but sleeping and getting up and going to work in the morning.
Yeah, we really appreciate this. This has been a great interview. I totally
I appreciate
appreciate
it.
it.
I'm more than happy to be here and talk. I do this all night.
Uh, so where did you get your name for your company? Uh,
That's
I thought
interesting.
that was really cool. I thought that was really cool.
My wife. A lot of people have said, "Boy, that's the gayest name in the world." Um, that's a joke. My
Oh,
wife is from New Zealand,
oh,
and
really?
the bird of New Zealand is called a Kiwi. It's also the
Right.
logo for the country. And me being from North Carolina, I'm Carolina born and bred, that type of thing. And so we got married, and we were actually starting a hobby farm when I was in Nebraska. And she came up with the name. She goes, I said, if we were gonna process and sell llama and alpaca wool. And she said, why don't we come up with a unique name to stand out? And she thought about it, and she said, well, let's take the Carolina from you, from where you're from, and the Kiwi where I'm from, put it together as Carolina Kiwi. So it started out as Carolina Kiwi Farms, which we brought over to North Carolina when we moved back here. And we're selling hogs and goats and all kinds of things under that. And then she said, when I got into this, she said, well, why don't you just do Carolina Kiwi Creation for whatever you do and make? So I'm like, okay. So it just
That's
kind of
cool.
stuck. Yeah.
I actually have a friend of mine who lives in New Zealand too. She runs a horse farm down there. She owns it and runs it. That's cool as hell.
Yeah. It
Um,
is. It's a big country for being such a small Australia. It's actually under Australia. When we go out, people often think my wife is from Australia, as she has
oh
to
no,
say
no,
Melbourne.
yeah, that's one thing. That's one thing we found that out.
Yeah.
Do not confuse.
Do not
Do
mix the
not
two.
call a Kiwi an Aussie.
That's right. I get
Yeah,
mad.
they do get mad. Um, what are your my last question for you? My
Okay.
personally my last question for you. What are your three favorite pieces that you have that you made?
That I make. Godzilla has to be one. Cujo, if I could ever get him finished, would be probably one that I'd be really proud of.
Cujo.
Um,
Yeah, Cujo would be a good one.
Cujo, yeah, that's a foam piece. The thing is with that is it's not an animal skin like taxidermy. I have to use fake fur for that. And the thing is the material comes with the holes in the back. So if I use the standard glue that we would use to put stuff on, it would seep through and get in the fur and make it all matted and gooey and everything. So I haven't been really able to be comfortable enough to try to tackle that. Although my friends at work are saying you ought to try this hide paste so you can, buy some of that or we'll give you some and you can try it out. So I've yet to do that. The other one I would have to say, and it's not done yet, but the dinosaur, the T Rex in the front room,
Yes.
that one I've been sitting on for years and it's going to get done. And I think that's probably one of the pieces I'm really proud of because even though I had a little help digitally designing it, I did it all by myself. And making it, printing it, that type of thing. So, I think that would be probably one of my prouder pieces.
We have another question from the chat.
Okay.
They want to know if you do articulated mask.
Articulate math, those are ones that would move. Not at the moment. I do try with some of the latex ones I do, like Pinhead. I will try to make them a little thinner to where if you want to talk when you're wearing it, the mouth will move and that type of thing. But I haven't been able to do that successfully with latex. That's why I want to get into silicone, and learn how to do the eye cupping and all that. Um, because I think if I take some of the things I have that I produce and I can make them silicone, that might be a little bit more fun for people to have, wear that type of thing. But then again, it would be a little bit more expensive too.
Well, I really I really like to thank you so much, James. This has been a phenomenal interview. I have to give credit where credit's due. John from Doomsday Crypt gets an assist for this one.
Thank
Um,
you. Okay.
he definitely he said you need to talk to him, and I'm so glad that John did that for me because this has been an outstanding interview, and I just thank you so much for your time.
You're welcome.
Absolutely love the Jaws. I love the Godzilla. The Godzilla head is amazing. I will
Thank you. I
definitely
appreciate
put up
that.
I'll put up your website on
Okay.
here, and I'll put your. You can send me the link to your Etsy. I'll put that
Yep.
up here as
Okay.
well. So if
All right.
anybody wants to contact James about any of his pieces, we will have the information up for you. You can track them through his website or or through the link that I'll have here.
Oh,
Um,
I have a YouTube channel too.
Yes, he has a YouTube channel, and
So,
I'll put that there. And please
okay.
connect with him, and in fact, to connect with each other. Why, if you can, if you haven't done that yet, please feel free to connect with each other here on our stream. Um,
Okay.
Before I go, I have to do the calendar because you know how we roll here. I have to do this, James. Every time I do this, every time I do an interview, I have to do the calendar. So
Okay.
I have to show it off. Here's my calendar. So tomorrow night, we are back. We're back at 8 o'clock. we'll be interviewing. As a matter of fact, we'll be interviewing an Australian from Australia. We'll be talking to Val Anathus. He will be here at 8 o'clock. He'll be talking about his acting career, and he's also a activist. And we'll be talking to him at 8 o'clock. On the 8th of August, this upcoming Sunday, we'll be talking to Kelly Helen Thompson on the Midnight Hour. That will be hosted by me on my channel here. So the Midnight Hour will be on the 8th. Will be hosted here. And next week, on the 10th of August, we have actress and alternative performer Lilia Mortis. That lady, it can do just about anything. So she'll be here at 8 o'clock. Very unique performer. Excited to meet her. And then on the 12th, next Thursday, we'll be talking to our friend Rick. Now, many of you guys know Rick, USX Rick. Well, he also runs a company. That USX is actually for underground subroxia, and he has launched that with his wife, and they own and run it. So we'll be talking to Rick next Thursday about his film company and what it's like running a small business here in today's world. And we'll be talking about extreme horror, and we'll be talking about dogs, cats, all sorts of fun things with Rick next Thursday. I'd like to thank everybody in the chat. You guys are definitely the reason why we're doing the show. You guys are definitely it's just amazing this week. Thank you so much for your support, for your questions, for supporting James, and thank you so much. James, it's been an honor and a pleasure, and we'll have to do this again sometime soon.
Thank you. I appreciate it. I also want to thank everybody that tuned in the chat, the questions, that type of thing. So, if you wanted to connect with me, feel free to send me a friend request on Facebook or just direct message me, whichever way you want to do it.
Yep. Feel free to share the interview out as well if you liked what you hear. Go ahead and give us a sub too. Sub to me and the Cheetah. And if you want to hear, hit the notification bell. You'll be told next time we do interviews and hear who we are going to have on the show. That's a good way to do it. We definitely would like to connect with everybody. So that's it for me. I will see you guys tomorrow night. James, thank you again, sir. Just stay right there, and I'll talk to you 1 second.
Okay.